so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to.
Welcome to the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship Season Review. After 16 electrifying rounds covering 4 continents, our global odyssey has come to a spectacular end after one of the most hotly contested championships in Formula E history.
Mitch Evans on a charge!
Man, we this race.
And it's pole position for Stoffel Vandoorne.
The field of 22 world-class drivers went toe-to-toe in pursuit of glory, with title contenders rising
McLaren hits the championship lead.
and falling.
I cannot believe it, man.
On the road to the 2022 world title. A championship plot full of twists and turns, but ultimately only one could emerge victorious.
Yes, you've done it again!
But before we look back on all of this season's highlights, here's a brief guide to this pioneering racing series. Formula E is the world's premier fully electric racing series and most competitive form of motorsports on the planet. 22 world-class drivers and 11 teams battle it out wheel-to-wheel on the streets of some of the world's most iconic cities. With the car's battery delivering up to 250 kilowatts of power, sending the car from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 2.8 seconds.
Very good start from Vandoorne, and De Vries has got away well too.
This is anything but traditional motorsport. 5 drivers, as voted for by the fans, get fan boost, one burst of extra power during a race.
Burns using his fan boost. Then Burn is through.
Then there's attack mode, where a driver collects 30 kilowatts of extra power by driving over an activation zone off the racing line.
Confirm attack. Got it.
Get ready to enter the radical and unpredictable world of Formula E. This was how the calendar shaped up for Season 8, with 16 rounds in total, kicking off with 2 night races in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia, before visits to Mexico City, Rome and Monaco. After a double-header in Berlin, it would be a first visit to Indonesia for the Jakarta E-Prix to start the second half of the season. Round 10 was in Marrakesh, North Africa, before 2 hotly anticipated races on the streets of New York City in July. Then it was back to Europe for 2 races in London before the season finale in Seoul. A cutting-edge championship calls for a special driver to master the machine, and Formula E has always attracted the cream of the crop. Defending champions Mercedes EQ were hot favourites once more, with former Formula 1 driver Stoffel Vandoorne lining up alongside reigning champion Nyck de Vries. Double teams champion DS Techeetah boasted one of the strongest pairings, with 2-time champion Jean-Eric Vergne alongside Season 6 title winner Antonio Felix Acosta. Jaguar TCS Racing would be another team to watch, with Sam Bird the only driver to have won a race in every season of Formula E, and Kiwi Mitch Evans, whose championship hopes were dashed in the final race of the 2021 season.
We go green in Berlin, and Evans doesn't move, and he's been hit.
At Rocket Venturi Racing was 2021 runner-up Eduardo Mortara, having had his best season yet. The Monaco-based team would also feature Season 3 champion Lucas di Grassi. German giants Porsche lined up with former DTM champion Pascal Wehrlein and multiple Le Mans winner Andre Lotterer. While Avalanche Andretti featured Jake Dennis, the 2021 Rookie of the Year, alongside American driver Oliver Askew for his first taste of Formula E. Those were just some of the ones to watch in perhaps the most competitive field in motorsport. But how would they fare as the championship got underway in a double-header in Diriyah? Round 1 kicked off under the lights in Saudi Arabia, with Stoffel Vandoorne on pole and defending champion Nick De Vries lining up in third.
And we go green in Diriyah.
Leading from the start, Vandoorne made a costly mistake as he missed attack mode, gifting his teammate the first win of the season.
The reigning champion wins again.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
The next day, it was the turn of Rocket Venturi Racing's Eduardo Mortara as he took the top step of the podium for round 2. The Mercedes powertrain making its mark in Diriyah. On to round 3 in Mexico City on one of the fastest circuits on the calendar.
And we go green in Mexico City.
Championship leader Edo Mortara took the lead from Pascal Wehrlein on lap 8.
There's the pass for the lead. Lovely move from Edo Mortara.
But as the race wore on, Tag Heuer Porsche's energy strategy looked to be strongest, with both cars having more energy in reserve than their rivals, allowing them to attack.
Wehrlein gets back into the lead. Lotterer sends it to Porsche 1-2.
In the final stages, the two Porsches led the DS Techeetahs of Jean-Eric Vergne and Antonio Felix da Costa, with the German team holding their drivers in formation on the road to their first Formula E win.
Eyes ahead, don't worry about the car behind. Don't be too close to Pascal. Keep track position, Andre.
But with the race clock ticking down, there was a final twist, with several teams miscalculating the race distance.
2-1. It's 2 more laps. Evans, Rowland, Bird in big trouble. They've miscalculated and they're going to not score any points. It's a historic day for Porsche as they take their first Formula E win with a 1-2 in Mexico.
Get in, boys. Get in. 1-2. Well done.
For rounds 4 and 5, the championship headed to Europe, lighting up Italy's ancient capital city.
And we go green in Rome. It's a decent start from Freins, but I think Vandoorne will hold it.
Poleman Stoffel Vandoorne was soon involved in a game of cats and mouse with Robin Freins.
It'll look for Freins and he goes for it. Freins is back in the lead of the race.
But all the while, a big cat was on their tail, a Jaguar to be precise.
Mitch Evans takes the lead of the Rome Prix for Jaguar.
Evans stretched his legs to take the win by nearly 6 seconds, having started back 9th on the grid.
Evans wins again in Rome.
The next day, Jean-Eric Vergne led off from pole position.
All 5 lights are on, and we go green in Rome.
After his teammate Antonio Felix da Costa came together with Edo Mortara,
What a f***ing idiot. I was inside.
the Swiss driver's race and championship lead were history.
Okay, I need to stop. It's not safe.
In a frenetic race, it was advantage Porsche with just 12 minutes left on the clock.
Freins covers the inside. Lotterer goes to the outside, and there he goes.
But behind Lotterer, Mitch Evans was chewing through the field in attack mode.
Mitch Evans on a charge and is leading the Rome Prix again.
Vergne fought his way up to second and piled the pressure on the Kiwi, but there was no stopping him from claiming back-to-back victories in Rome.
Yes, you've done it again! Yes!
Those 2 wins in Rome saw Mitch Evans move up to 4th in the Drivers' Championship ahead of Eduardo Mortara. But there was a new leader in the title race in the shape of Jean-Eric Vergne, with Robin Freins and Stoffel Vandoorne 2nd and 3rd. Round 6 of the 2022 Formula E World Championship saw the all-electric racing series hit the glamorous streets of Monaco. Mitch Evans was on pole for Jaguar TCS Racing ahead of Mexico City race winner Pascal Wehrlein and championship leader Jean-Eric Vergne.
We go green in Monaco.
With the leaders swapping places at the front of the pack, it was Wehrlein who came out on top.
Wehrlein to the outside, takes the lead of the Monaco Prix. Vandoorne is also up into 3rd place.
But it wasn't long before disaster struck for the German as he suffered a complete electrical shutdown.
The race leader is dropping back. Jean-Eric Vergne now leads for DS Techeetah.
A full course yellow followed, ruining DS Techeetah's strategy, as only moments before Vergne had activated his final attack mode, wasting his extra power and opening the door for Vandoorne.
Unlucky, but we keep the head down, Jeff, we keep the head down.
After taking his last attack mode, Evans fought back hard to recover 4th to 2nd.
Good job, good job.
But the Kiwi couldn't bridge the gap as Vandoorne carved out a strong lead in the remaining laps, taking his first win of the season and becoming the new championship leader.
We just won Monaco!
Next up was a double header at Berlin's Tempelhof Airport. with Eduardo Mortara taking pole position for Rocket Venturi Racing at round 7.
We go green in Berlin. It's a pretty decent start from poleman Eduardo Mortara.
Having started 8th on the grid, championship leader Stoffel Vandoorne climbed up into the podium positions, and a fight soon followed between the Belgian and two-time champion Jean-Eric Vergne.
He knows he has to send it, turns it in, gets it stopped, and Vergne is through.
Having held off Vandoorne, the Frenchman tried his luck on leader Mortara, but the Swiss proved too strong.
Oh, defending Eduardo Mortara, and through goes Vergne. But then Mortara gets him back, and Vandoorne is going to try and get through on Vergne. The championship contenders, wheel to wheel into turn 7.
A second win of the season for Mortara put him right back in the title fight.
Mortara across the line. Eduardo Mortara wins in Berlin, Vergne in second, and Vandoorne in third.
And for round 8, the resurgent Rocket Venturi driver was again on pole, as the circuit was run in the other direction.
And we go green in Berlin.
Flying Dutchman De Vries took the early lead.
De Vries sends it, and from third position, he forces his way past Eduardo Mortara.
Having started 7th on the grid, Vandoorne fought his way up to 3rd.
Oh, and De Grassi turns in, and Vandoorne has snuck up the inside.
But it was his teammate who took the spoils ahead of Edo Mortara.
And De Vries wins, his second win of the season for Mercedes EQ.
Round 9 saw Formula E break new ground in Indonesia for the Jakarta E-Prix, with Jean-Eric Vergne claiming a record-breaking 15th pole position ahead of teammate Antonio Felix da Costa.
And we go green in Jakarta.
A rare mistake from da Costa saw Mitch Evans take advantage and slide into second.
Big mistake from da Costa, and Evans is through.
And cutting a deflated figure in the pit lane was reigning champion Nick De Vries, who'd picked up a puncher, his chances of taking another title looking bleak. Back on track, Evans made a decisive move for the lead in the Jaguar.
It airs Evans to the inside. Evans attacks into turn 7 and takes the lead of the Jakarta E-Prix. I think Vergne is going to run out of energy here. He covers the inside again. It's going to be right together for second place, but Mitch Evans in the Jaguar has driven a superb race, and Mitch Evans wins in Jakarta.
After a third win of the season, Evans moved to within 12 points of championship leader Stoffel Vandoorne in 4th overall. Jean-Eric Vergne also closing the gap to the Belgian, only 5 points in arrears, while Edo Mortara dropped to 3rd in the standings. For round 10, the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship returns to the bustling city of Marrakesh, home to the Moulay Al Hassan circuit. Championship leader Stoffel Vandoorne had a mountain to climb after qualifying 20th, while his title rivals lined up on the front 3 rows of the grid. Mitch Evans in 6th, Jean-Eric Vergne 3rd, and Eduardo Mortara 2nd, alongside pole sitter Antonio Felix da Costa.
And we go green in Marrakesh.
Having started 11th, Mahindra Racing's Oliver Rowland scythed through the field on a bold energy strategy.
Fairline's now getting passed around the outside by Oliver Rowland.
But the Indian outfit weren't the only team to go big early on, with both DS Techeetah cars taking their attack mode power boost in the early stages, handing the lead to Mortara.
Both DS Techeetahs activate their first attack mode.
Da Costa seemed to lose any chance of repeating his 2021 Moroccan win after contact with Rowland lost him time to the leading car.
Did Rowland nudge the back of Da Costa there? And yes, because Rowland's letting him back through.
And while Rowland's strategy didn't pay off as the Brit dropped back, there were more tactics at DS as they switched their drivers' positions.
Vergne to the inside, gets ahead of Da Costa.
Swap T11 and R3 mode.
With Vergne not able to close in on Mortara, it was Da Costa's turn to try.
And there is the swap. So Da Costa reckons he can catch Mortara for the win.
Mitch Evans put in another fine shift, making a final lap lunge on Vergne to take 3rd.
Early lift from Jean-Eric Vergne, and Evans goes through to 3rd.
But there was no stopping Rocket Venturi Racing as Eduardo Mortara took the 3rd win of the season, and with it, the championship lead. Vandoorne made up an incredible 12 places in Marrakesh to salvage some championship points, but he dropped to 3rd behind Mortara and Vergne with only 15 points separating the top 4 ahead of the New York E-Prix. After a stint in North Africa, the all-electric series crossed the Atlantic to descend upon New York City for an E-Prix like no other. Nick Cassidy took his first pole of the season for Envision Racing, with Stoffel Vandoorne lining up behind him in second.
Round 11, and we go green in New York City.
All 22 drivers were clean off the line in race 1, but there was big drama to follow in the Big Apple. First to have a bike taken out of him was Jean-Eric Vergne, who was spun round on the opening lap in a blow to his championship campaign.
Can't believe it.
Then came the rain, and another title contender had a big moment.
See Mortara! Eduardo Mortara, the championship leader, has aquaplaned off! Oh, they're all off!
Ahead of him, leader Cassidy had been the first to crash out, along with Lucas di Grassi and Stoffel Vandoorne. But luckily for them, a red flag followed, and Cassidy was awarded his first win of the season, after results were based on the order before the incident. Unfortunately for Mortara, a penalty for overspeeding under a full course yellow meant he'd finished 9th, slashing his lead in the driver's standings. On the second leg of the double-header, Antonio Felix da Costa dominated from the off for his first win of the year.
The checkered flag falls! Huge win for da Costa!
While Stoffel Vandoorne worked his way up from 5th to 2nd, becoming our new championship leader.
Great stuff, mate. So let's focus on da Costa.
Mitch Evans then had the save of the season,
Oh, he's lost it!
Oh, well held.
What a remarkable bit of driving from Evans!
eventually salvaging championship points with a neat overtake for 3rd.
Right round the outside for Mitch Evans.
But it was disaster for Vergne, who retired after a collision with di Grassi.
I cannot believe it, man.
The Frenchman leaving the USA without a single point from 2 races. Could Vergne be sliding out of the championship fight? He dropped to 4th in the standings behind Mitch Evans, while Edo Mortara sits 2nd after 2 difficult days at the wheel, Stoffel Vandoorne holding an 11-point lead at the top. After North America, Formula E hopped across the Atlantic to England's capital city, where a unique track lay ahead, running both inside and outside the London Excel Centre. RFE drivers were about to raise the roof. Delighting the crowds, Jake Dennis secured a home pole for Avalanche Andretti, with World Championship leader Stoffel Vandoorne breathing down his neck in 2nd. The title contenders had some serious work to do.
All 5 lights are on, and we go green in London. It's a very quick lights out, and it's a very good start from Vandoorne, but Dennis comes across, covers the inside. They turn into the left-hander at the first corner. Side by side, and there's an accident. Dennis with Mortara. Eduardo Mortara, 2nd in the championship, has got no front wing.
What the f is doing?
And Sam Bird, for the 3rd race in London in a row, looks to be out on the opening lap in the Jaguar.
Can we change the front nose?
A disaster for Eduardo Mortara, who was forced into the pit lane only to return to the track firmly in last place.
Man, what the is this? Really completely run into me. Come on.
There was no love lost between the DS Techeetah teammates da Costa and Vergne, scrapping it out in 10th and 11th. At the front, Dennis, Vandoorne and Seti Camera were playing the same game, taking their attack mode together. But De Vries seized the opportunity to move into 3rd. Further back, title contender Jean-Eric Vergne's hopes were fading.
The guy is undrivable.
The DS Techeetah is dropping back through the field.
Definitely a bit broken.
Nick Cassidy took full advantage of his 2nd attack mode with impressive moves through the chicane.
The Envision driver can see 4th position in his sights.
Podium finish was out of reach for Mitch Evans, but he wasn't giving up on those all-important overall points. The battle for 3rd was on, but De Vries blocked Cassidy at every attempt.
Careful with movement under braking.
Moving under braking, another move twice.
He's on investigation.
As a result, De Vries received a 5-second penalty, dropping him off the podium and promoting Cassidy into 3rd, while Oliver Askew finished in 4th. But it was the home crowd favourite who took the fastest lap as well as the victory.
Jake Dennis takes a dominant win in London. Vandoorne 2nd across the line to extend his championship lead. Dennis delighted. He has absolutely bossed this.
That's how you win a Formula E race. Get in!
Woo!
Oh my God, that was absolutely amazing, incredible.
It's 2 years in a row for Jake Dennis on the top spots in London. Stoffel Vandoorne extended his lead in the championship to 24 points ahead of Mitch Evans, who moved up into 2nd overall after Eduardo Mortara's disastrous race. Day 2 of the London E-Prix, and it was hometown glory once again for Jake Dennis, the Brit taking his second pole of the season in the Avalanche Andretti car, alongside Formula E stalwart Lucas di Grassi. No such luck for the title contenders though, as all four failed to advance to the dual stages, meaning they would start from much further down the field.
All 5 lights are on, and we go green in London. It's a pretty decent getaway from Jake Dennis, and he covers the inside and holds the lead. Da Costa's up the inside of Giovinazzi coming into the first corner. Big lock-up, did they all make it through? Yes. Di Grassi holds on to second position. De Vries trying to force his way through. Buemi and Cassidy are side by side as they make their way outdoors now into the sunshine, and Dennis holds the lead. Di Grassi second, Giovinazzi third, Da Costa fourth, De Vries is fifth. Up in the air goes Sims and wipes out. Was that Verne? I think it was Roland, sorry, going up in the air. Has he wiped out Jean-Eric Verne? No, Verne is still going. They're all still going. Askew goes up the inside into turn 9 and keeps the place. Surely Roland has damage, and I think he has. He's pulling over to the side of the circuit. His suspension is broken. Verline here is battling with Mitch Evans as they come down into Custom House, but Roland out of the race on the opening lap. Jean-Eric Verne has pulled to the side of the road and is out, and that surely is his championship over. That's at turn 7. Verne is out of the race. Da Costa to the inside of Giovinazzi. Bold one at turn 1. Giovinazzi hangs on, wheel to wheel, and De Vries takes advantage. Da Costa loses out. Giovinazzi was not giving that place up without a fight.
And we've seen both Evans now and De Vries do exactly what they have to do. They take advantage of other people's arguments on circuit.
It was a broken radiator on the right-hand side of Verne's car. That is why he's out. De Vries in attack mode gets ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi into third place. Giovinazzi comes into the pits for his drive-through penalty. Evans dispatches Buemi. So he's now into 5th place here, Mitch Evans. Van Dorn will be trying to follow through. The frustrating thing for Evans is he's doing a great job, but Van Dorn's coming with him every step of the way. And Dennis is only going to have 15 seconds to kind of push. There's a look from Evans on Da Costa, and he's through. So Evans gets ahead of Da Costa now, and he's up into 4th position. This is a fantastic drive from the Jaguar driver. 5-second time penalty for Mortara causing a collision, and he's sending one here, and he goes straight on, he loops it. Mortara around trying to get Sam Bird.
And that was a late defensive move by Buemi at the front of that whole pack and caused that, I would say.
Van Dorn on Da Costa. Mercedes EQ up into 5th position, so still only 1 place behind Mitch Evans.
Push into attack now.
Looks so close.
Push into attack now. Push into attack now.
Interesting. So they say take attack mode, Dennis, and he's saying, but Di Grassi and Nick is so close. That's what he said. Nick is so close. He couldn't believe that Nick De Vries and the Mercedes has caught them so quickly. So now Di Grassi leads the London E-Prix, and Dennis will have to overtake him on track if he wants to win this race. Evans! Mitch Evans! Where is he? What's happened? Evans has stopped.
I'm out.
He's off in some runoff area somewhere, and he's trying to get the car going again. He's gone straight on. Has he gone straight on by himself down at the chicane at Custom House? He's down in 14th place. He's not going to score. Stoffel Van Dorn's going to move him into 4th position.
Here we go. We'll see what happened.
Just dies. Down the straight. No power.
Devastating for Mitch Evans. And he was taken out of last year's championship fight by mechanical issue too.
The Jaguar driver out of the race. Di Grassi is finally going to convert some great pace this year into a victory. Di Grassi wins in London. Superb win for Venturi. It's a 2nd place for Jake Dennis. It's 3rd for Nick De Vries.
Well done, Lucas.
So a first win of the season for Lucas di Grassi, who now held the joint record for most wins in Formula E history with Sebastian Buemi. Jake Dennis brought it home in 2nd, with Nick De Vries rounding out the podium in 3rd. Stoffel Van Dorn, the big winner of the championship contenders, in 4th position, the only one of the top 4 to finish in the points.
Thank you everybody for being here. The team gave me the perfect feedback. The car was amazing today. And after what happened yesterday, I think we deserve it very much.
Van Dorn extended his lead in the driver standings to 36 points, ahead of Mitch Evans. Now with just 2 rounds remaining, Mortara was in 3rd, and Verne looking all but out of the championship race. For the 2022 finale, the Formula E World Championship broke new ground with a first visit to South Korea in the Seoul E-Prix. Round 15 saw Oliver Rowland claim a first pole position of the season for Mahindra Racing. Alongside the Brit was London race winner Lucas di Grassi. Mitch Evans in third would need to stay ahead of rival Stoffel Vandoorne to keep his hopes alive for one more day. The Belgian was 7th on the grid behind Edoardo Mortara, who was still not out of this championship fight.
All 5 lights are on, and we go green in Seoul. Pretty good start from Evans. Mitch Evans in third place goes to the outside. Rowland's getting swamped. Can Evans take the lead? Coming down into the right-hander. He's hanging it out on the outside, but di Grassi takes the lead. Evans is second. Rowland is third. Everybody safely through the first couple of corners. Brilliant start from di Grassi, but Evans has got the lead. The Jaguar man is on an absolute mission, and Mitch Evans hits the front after 2 turns in the Seoul E-Prix. Third is di Grassi. Third is Rowland, fourth is Dennis, fifth is Mortara. Vergne has got ahead of Vandoorne. Wehrlein has dropped from 4th all the way down to 8th place. And that is the dream start for Mitch Evans.
That fantastic stuff from Mitch Evans. Did exactly what he had to do. This surface here, new surface inside the Olympic Stadium, is like ice in the wet. You can see the cars fishtailing around as everybody tries to put the power down. Great stuff from Mitch Evans.
And here comes Rowland attacking Lucas di Grassi, sends it up the inside into the stadium section, and he makes it through. So Rowland back up into second place. Must have been an error from di Grassi in there. So Evans leads, Rowland second, di Grassi third, Dennis fourth.
Watch this, watch how slow the Mahindra is off the line relatively. Wheel spins over the sponsor logo at the start, but fantastic here. He looks in his mirror, he thinks, Lucas is there, I'm just going to give him a bit of room.
But how did he get such good drive down into... Did he just sent it?
No, just on the brakes.
Wow.
It was on the brakes. It wasn't out of the corner before. He was just so confident on the brakes to just sail the car in there.
That was amazing commitment from Evans. Evans is pulling away at the moment up at the front. Mortara's going defensive. Dennis to the inside of di Grassi. Late cover from di Grassi. Mortara's in 5th ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne. Vandoorne seems to be quite a long way back. Yeah, they're at the top. 6 coming through in the barrier at the back. A few in the barrier at the back. 3 in the barrier at the back. And it's a red flag. Red flag is out, and that's why. Let's have a look here. Here we come, down into the right-hander. Someone going to the inside. Sete Camera sends it in. He goes through fine. And then a few just sort of slither wide. Oh, and then a couple of big hits at the back. Sort of out of... And then everyone piles in at the back. Very weird accident, that.
Yeah, I don't get that one because it's not the first lap.
Yeah, you're right.
They've gone through there.
Here they come, in again. Very strange incident there, but there you can see. Well, how many is that for? 8 cars off. Vergne on Vandoorne.
Vandoorne's got to be careful here.
So that's Vandoorne ahead of Vergne, actually. So that's Vandoorne up into 5th place. He's just got ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne because he was under pressure from Mortara. So here was the move coming out of... it got alongside coming out of the... That was an odd one, wasn't it?
It was like Vergne lifted on the inside or just had such a bad exit out of turn 21.
Vandoorne was just able to kind of drive past.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And that's Mortara. What's happened to Edoardo Mortara here?
I heard him hit the wall in turn 2. Right rear's down, right rear's down.
Yeah, right rear damage. He's got some advertising hoarding on it as well. But Mortara maybe has tapped the wall and picked up a puncture, and his race is run, and his championship is over. Here's a look at what happened to Mortara.
I wonder if what's happened is...
Slow puncture.
Exactly, I wonder if there was contact and cut the tyre.
Oh, and in the wall is that Sims. It's Sims. It's the Mahindra of Sims. Running in 9th position, and that would have been heart in the mouth for a moment for Dilbag Gill. Front left corner in the barriers. What happens with Simsy here? Oh, there he goes. He's gone in sort of on the exit, hasn't he, of one of the right-handers and then slid along the barrier.
It looks like it. There's marks. Let's see.
So halfway through the stadium, I think he's going to
lost the back again. Is that not what happened this morning? I think that's what happened in turn 2.
Crunch. Crunchy.
Oh, broken wheel.
A crash right at the end for Alexander Sims means this is going to end behind the safety car. Didn't quite go as Mercedes EQ wanted today. but Mitch Evans did what he had to do today. Aggression at the start. The checkered flag is there. Evans wins the Seoul Prix.
Yes! Come on! Yes! Mega.
Come on!
Mitch Evans kept his championship challenge alive with an impressive win on the streets of Seoul ahead of Roland and de Grassi. Stoffel Vandoorne was in 5th place, meaning the fight for the title would go down to the last day.
It's been a lot of work since London to make sure we can make this result possible. This morning was tricky. We didn't quite have the pace, but then the rain came at the right time, and I saved my qualifying at the front and a good start. The race was really hard to manage. The conditions changing all the time. So yeah, thanks to the team for guiding me through. This is what we needed. We don't give up, and we go to tomorrow, and we'll keep fighting.
Evans victorious in Seoul, but could he repeat the feat in Sunday's race? Round 16 of the Formula E World Championship, and a historic day lay ahead. Not only would we see a new driver crowned champion in South Korea, but Sunday also marked the 100th Formula E race, a remarkable milestone for this pioneering championship.
For the first time, we go green in Beijing.
In just 8 years, Formula E has shaken up the motorsport landscape, delivering drama and creating heroes in the world's most iconic cities.
De Grassi wins in New York City.
Most of people thought it was a bad idea or it wouldn't work. And after 8 years, or after 10 years actually from inception, here we are, stronger than ever, celebrating 100 races.
I did 2 seasons in the Gen 1 car. The car was very raw. It was hard to manage, but quite a fun car to drive.
The first generation battery wasn't able to run a full race, giving rise to a one-of-a-kind pit stop.
Swapping cars was kind of new to me. I didn't know what to expect, and I thought that it was kind of cool for the championship.
I hated those car swaps so much. Every weekend I was bruised everywhere, and I really didn't like them.
Whilst the technology was still developing off-track, on-track there was never a doubt that the championship could deliver on drama.
I don't believe it! The 2 championship contenders out of turn 1! Oh, he's hit him! The 2 cheaters hit each other!
So the most iconic crash of the history of Formula E was in the first race. Less corner, less lap.
And they make contact, and they're both off!
It catapulted Formula E to a different level. Given that both drivers were safe, that was actually a massive push for the general public to know Formula E more.
Season 5 was the beginning of the Gen 2 era, and with innovations such as attack mode, the racing was faster and more competitive than ever.
It's 3 wide as they come down into the corner.
That was fairly ambitious by Mortara.
Yes, yes!
It's 0! De Grassi wins!
We used to need 2 cars to do a 45-minute race at lower speeds than we do now with only 1 car. So the evolution in technology has been insane.
For Season 7, Formula E was granted World Championship status by the FIA, and it became the first sport to be certified net zero carbon since inception.
We're not here just to race. We're here for a lot more than that. Push on the message that we all have. To drive to a more sustainable planet, a more sustainable way of driving. I think it's great, and that's the reason why Formula E is what it is today as well.
And with the Gen 3 car on the horizon, a faster, more sustainable car will break the mold once more, taking Formula E to the next level.
Reaching 100 races is a pretty special milestone for the series.
It's certainly very remarkable to see how quickly Formula E has come along and how quickly it has grown to a really established championship.
To see the respect that we were able to get from the motorsport world in general in only 7-8 years, it's amazing.
Day 2 of the Seoul E-Prix, and it was Antonio Felix da Costa on pole for a second time this season, alongside Eduardo Mortara. After the heroics of the day before, it looked like the fairy tale fight back was all but over for Mitch Evans.
Evans is out! Evans isn't through to the duels!
The Kiwi would have to start from 13th on the grid. Champion-elect Stoffel Vandoorne would begin the final race of the season in 4th.
One more time this season. We go green in Seoul. Very good getaway from da Costa at the front. Moves over, covers the inside line. Jake Dennis in the red and white Andretti goes to the outside of Mortara. They bang wheels a little bit. Someone comes steaming in. That's Gunther on the attack as They go side by side down towards turn 1. Again, Dennis looking to the inside. Gunter is fully on the attack. Up the inside of Di Grassi. Ticktum gets hit. A lot of contact in the middle there. Everybody in the end makes it through. Ticktum gets hit again by Di Grassi. Ticktum ended up getting into 6th position. Someone almost fed into the wall. Gunter is on an absolute mission, and now he's hit Di Grassi. And that is bad, bad news for the Rocket Venturi team, because I think Di Grassi, is he still going? He is just about. Now side by side between Evans and Jean-Eric Vergne. Those two trying to get through the chicane. They come into the stadium section after a robust opening few corners. Da Costa still leads the way. The top 5 are broken clear. Max Gunter, often full attack. That was extremely full attack.
Mortara all over the back of Da Costa, but watch for making a move. It's coming down to turn 2021. See who gets off here well. Da Costa a little bit heavy in the way in. Mortara able to keep it more neat and tidy.
How hard is Da Costa going to fight? He covers the inside. He's pretty keen, and Mortara tries to dummy. Full send. Great move from Mortara, and Dennis might take both of them. Mortara sweeps across, covers the inside, holds the lead of the Ypres, and now Vandoorne is on the attack to the outside of Da Costa, but he doesn't want to get too muddled up in incidents there. That was a fantastic overtake from Eduardo Mortara. Here's a replay of the start. Now watch, it was all pretty even at the front. Max Gunter in the red and black Nissan goes to the inside here and just fully sends it, and then does it at the next few corners as well. And here goes Gunter up the inside of 3 of them.
Yeah, and Gunter caused a lot of that shunt, I would say, just by, I mean, 3 into that corner does not go. It's so tight through there, and you see some damage to the Porsche. Mitch Evans trying to take advantage here, but then it stops in a hurry. He did well not to get more damage to his Jaguar. Did some damage to Oliver Askew's and Avalanche Andretti ahead.
Jean-Eric Vergne's view. Ambitious stuff from Gunter. Di Grassi was caught in the middle. Gunter still tried to hang it on around the outside. He's gained 4 places, Mitch Evans. So has Oliver Askew, so has Pascal Wehrlein. Da Costa's lost 2 off the start because he began on pole position. There is Evans running in 9th position now. Jean-Eric Vergne is his next target, but he's got to come through to win the race if he wants to win the World Championship.
Vandoorne looks like he's setting up, but he's just not quite close enough. Antonio Felix Da Costa in the black and gold Techeetahs just very good at a turn 19. What have you spotted, Jack?
Askew's got Di Grassi. Askew now is ahead of Di Grassi. Di Grassi drops down to 7th position. And has Di Grassi got trouble here? I think he does. He's pulling over to the right-hand side. Vergne is to the outside, and Di Grassi is out.
Huge championship implications for the team's championship. Massive.
Di Grassi out of the running as he returns to the pit lane. He's got a puncture. Di Grassi has a puncture. Battle for second. Da Costa to the outside. Dennis leaves his nose in. A bit of a touch, and where's Da Costa gone? Has Da Costa fully gone off? Da Costa's fully gone off. Dennis only gave him a tiny touch, but enough to send Da Costa all the way to the back of the field. And that's going to be so frustrating for DS Techeetah. Dennis in 2nd place. He might potentially be getting a penalty for that as well. Mortara leads, Dennis 2nd. Vandoorne now is up in the 3rd spot. Here's a look at it again. So Da Costa goes to the outside, and Dennis basically tries to defend and keep his nose there, and Da Costa...
So far, so good. Bit of a... he got a slide on, over and corrected to the left, and then couldn't get the lock on.
Yeah, well, he got the slide because of the hit.
But I understand, but watch the steering. So steering goes in, goes to the left.
Yeah.
Can't get it.
I was more than happy to give up the corner. He just left me no space.
That's a tough one. Because Dennis really got squeezed there, honestly. Superb drive from Mortara. He wins for the 4th time this year, but it's Stoffel Vandoorne out of the final corner. Stoffel Vandoorne is the world champion. Vandoorne wins for Mercedes EQ, and they wrap up the team's championship. Double championship victory for Mercedes EQ. They won it last year with Nick De Vries, the drivers.
Well done, champ.
Yes, boys. World champion! Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
So it was Eduardo Mortara who would take the honours for the 4th time in 2022. The Swiss-Italian driver ending his troubled season on a high. 2nd place for Stoffel Vandoorne meant he'd clinched the title over Evans. The Jaguar TCS driver putting in a valiant effort to bring it home in 7th. Jake Dennis completing the podium in 3rd.
I mean, day was extremely positive. I still feel extremely frustrated because we didn't manage actually to score any points in the last two race weekends, and it's still in me. I've got so much frustration from that, but I'm so thankful, you know, for the team for giving me such a strong car with a fantastic season, and to finish like this, it's really what I needed and what they needed.
After an incredible season-long championship battle, it was Stoffel Vandoorne who took the title to become our new Formula E world champion. Mitch Evans took it down to the wire in Seoul, but would eventually have to settle for second. But with 4 wins to his name in 2022, the Kiwi had a lot to celebrate. Edoardo Mortara took third after a season of highs and lows for the Rocket Venturi driver. Mercedes EQ doing the double in Season 8, claiming not only the Drivers' Championship, but the Team's Championship to boot. A fitting swan song for the German manufacturer. Rocket Venturi Racing took second with a clutch of wins to their name, just ahead of DS Techeetah, who would take home third.
World champions, wow. It's just the best feeling ever. You know, just look at the season we've had, the consistency. Car has been amazing, and the team has done an amazing job, and yeah, I think every single one of us deserves this. So what we've accomplished is something special.
It hasn't been easy. There have been some really strong competitors. Mitch Evans right on your tail up until today's race.
Yeah, he's pushed me all the way along. Same with Edo. They've, you know, they were there all the time, and it was really about the consistency in the end. You know, they all have more wins than me, but I've got the most podiums, I think.
And what was going through your mind during the course of that race? Could you allow yourself to think about actually becoming world champion?
It was difficult to focus because, you know, the pace at the end was so high. I knew Jake had a 5-second penalty, so I had to kind of stay close enough to him to be able to secure P2. So yeah, it was an awesome day. A lot of concentration. I'm drained after this year. It's been a lot of effort. The effort I've put in, the team put in, is incredible.
So that's it for another year in Formula E, but what a year it's been. With a new dawn of the championship beginning in Season 9, we'll see you for 2023 for even more electrifying action.
The world's most unpredictable racing series, a brand new ABB FIA Formula E World Championship season.
Prepare to be electrified.
And we go green under the lights. The reigning champion wins again. Contact! Oh, back hit.
Six just smashed clean off the track.
What an idiot. It's a historic day for Porsche when they take their first Formula E win with a 1-2 in Mexico. It's a double win for Mitch Evans in Rome. Yes, you've done it again! He is the emperor. We just won Monaco! Stoffel Vandoorne moves to the lead of the championship. It's an identical time to the newest thousandth of a second.
This is the stupidest wheel I've ever seen in my life.
Bravo, bravo.
Mitch Evans wins in Jakarta.
Seriously, I'm so fed up.
Oh, he's lost it! What a remarkable bit of driving for Evans.
I guess the back is back, we can say it.
What the f he's doing?
Yes! Gets it!
Evans has stopped.
Not well, not well.
Just 2 races to go. Mitch Evans did what he had to do today. Evans is through to the duels. Stoffel Vandoorne